Um, and I just kind of hit a breaking point where I was like, I'm either going to end my life or radically change it. And I just made that decision right there in the aisle. I was like, this is not working anymore. I just hit a wall. And I was not ready to end my life. So I decided to try the other thing first. And I'm glad that I did because it ended up causing me to go to college, which eventually led to my path as an entrepreneur. One of my professors helped me start my first business.
Welcome back to the Power and Purpose podcast. I am Vanessa Soul, your host. I am here with guest Bill Widmer. So, Bill is an online business strategist, world traveler, and community connector. I'm super excited for this conversation. And, Bill, I love asking my signature question: who are you and who are you not?
I'd say I'm someone who really enjoys creating communities. Uh, I'm a son, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a dog dad. And yeah, overall, I'm just somebody who really, really likes to experiment and play with life. And the way that I do that is through entrepreneurship because it makes you able to make money, having fun and bringing things to life. I'm not someone who likes to pigeonhole themselves.
So let's dive into a little bit about you and your journey, most likely before you are this version of Bill in 2025. Tell us a little bit about your early struggles with connection and confidence. What did that look like? What did that feel like? And how did that play out in your early life?
I was just a really, really shy kid. I grew up in the woods. I traveled around a lot. My family was pretty poor, so I was just constantly hopping school systems and never really made like a stable friend group or even like one long-term friend that I stayed with because it's just hard to do that when you're, 45 minutes away from civilization and even by car, and you're just constantly meeting new people. Very socially anxious and awkward and just didn't know how to be a quote unquote normal human being growing up. So that was more or less some of my past as a child before I got into entrepreneurship and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And then when did you start to like cultivate, the community theme, the community vibe? Was it, what did you wait until you were like 100% into entrepreneurship, or was that like a prelude to entrepreneurship?
College was kind of when I first started to break out of my shell and start to care more about having consistent friend groups and community. I was always the person like bringing people together and hosting house parties and just like I wanted that, so I made it happen. Um, but it wasn't until later that I really realized how much I care about community and how much I value that. I went to Guatemala for a spiritual retreat, and I had a Guatemalan shaman do yeah, I forget the exact name for it, but it's basically like an astrological reading, but
Mm.
it's like the Mayan version.
Mm.
Yeah, it was really interesting. He told me it in completely in Spanish, and my Spanish is very poor, but it was enough to kind of more or less understand. And I did have a translator there helping me out as well. And two of the things that he said to me that really stuck out to me were you're a person who is born to create communities and to heal divides between people who are kind of like at war or at odds with one another. And so I really took that to heart. And then the other thing he said to me, which I tell people this all the time, I'm a hugger. I love giving hugs. And he literally told me that my purpose, my path is to give more hugs.
I love that. Wow, so much clarity. And I'm an astrologer, by the way. So when you said like the Mayan version, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that feels like the real deal. You got that clarity that like, yeah, you're here to thrive in communities, bring people together, especially people who are in confrontation or conflict. Like, yes, we need those peacemakers. We need those people who can help everyone find a middle ground. And then we need huggers. I mean, everyone needs to be giving more hugs anyway, because it boosts dopamine, or I don't know, maybe I can't remember all the facts, but it has so many benefits. And that's just what keeps us all connected from my personal perspective. So I love that. And what are some benefits of entrepreneurship? And you can take that in any direction. I mean, it doesn't have to be like the material benefits or like the 3D, if you will, benefits. It could also be spiritual or mental or emotional even. And then also with the benefits, we'll dive into some of those challenges that might be on the other side of that.
I'll start with why I became an entrepreneur. The number one benefit that I saw was freedom. Um, I absolutely hated working for a company. I hated being trapped in a building for 8 hours a day, forced to stand in one spot. And, I worked at Dollar General. I was like a cashier scanning stuff, or I was stocking the shelves or whatever. And I just got so depressed to the point where I remember one winter I broke down crying. It was 6 a.m. It might even been earlier than that. It might have been 5 a.m. in the middle of winter in Pennsylvania. There was snow on the ground. It was freezing. Um, and I was just stocking shelves before the store opened, and I just started crying because I was just like, I can't keep doing this. And this
Mm.
was just after high school. I wasn't going to college yet. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. Um, and I just kind of hit a breaking point where I was like, I'm either going to end my life or radically change it. And I just made that decision right there in the aisle. I was like, this is not working anymore. I just hit a wall. And I was not ready to end my life. So I decided to try the other thing first. And I'm glad that I did because it ended up causing me to go to college, which eventually led to my path as an entrepreneur. One of my professors helped me start my first business. So freedom is the number one benefit for me, which is also kind of funny because sometimes entrepreneurs have to work way harder than a 9 to 5 job. But I would rather work really, really hard for myself under my own conditions than work a regular 9 to 5 doing something I hate for somebody else.
Those are two important things. I love that we're bringing this to awareness, and yes, it does provide freedom. And then sometimes entrepreneurs can feel like they're anything but free, at least in the beginning, right? When there's like that learning curve, depending on what action steps they take after that. And then what are two other, benefits or yeah, just golden opportunities of entrepreneurship?
Just being able to work when, where, and how you want. Like I can go work at a coffee shop. I can, especially because my business is online, I can just decide, hey, I want to go to Japan for a month and just work out of a hostel. I could go do that if I wanted to, assuming I have the funds to do so. So I guess that ties more into freedom, but non-freedom things, I would say, really for me is purpose. It gives me something to really get out of bed for in the morning, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something with my life that matters. Um, and then a third one, I would say it's just fun. It's so much fun to just come up with an idea and then go try and make it happen. It's like a lot of times it can be like a game.
So I'm going to add in my personal take on that too. And I'll
Yeah.
just add in one thing as an entrepreneur. What I didn't expect is like how much I get to like create something from like scratch. Or maybe take something that's already been existing, but then like mold it into something completely different. So that creation process, like that was like very intriguing, very fun. Maybe after I saw the results, so that kind of matches what you were saying. But like in the process, I just got into like this flow state of like oh my gosh, like I'm creating this thing. And then for other people, if creation doesn't like resonate with you, you might be listening to this, but maybe building, right? Like building something from scratch, like from the ground up, building creation, a little bit more of a feminine and masculine difference there in energy. But I think that's also something that's pretty cool that you get in entrepreneurship. You might get it depending on where you're at in the corporate world, but when you're in entrepreneurship, it's like you have so much free will and choice and decision in how you create and how you build. It does go along with the freedom, but I think it could also stand alone. So I just wanted to add that in as my perspective. And then now I want to talk about, you know, um, you turned an idea into a six-figure online business. So tell us about that.
I've done that a few times now, actually. Yeah. Uh, when I first started my first business was in college. Like I said in the beginning, a professor of mine, his name's Frank, and my other professor, also named Bill. The two of them kind of inspired me and helped me to write up a business plan and start my first business, which was promotional products company. So just like pens with business names on it and stuff like that. And it didn't end up panning out. I had two customers. One of them was my professor who helped me start it, and the other one was my mom. So that was where the kind of the roots of where it all started. But from there, I just started experimenting. Like I opened a store where I was drop shipping jewelry from China. I opened an Etsy shop where I was like buying stuff from local vendors and like adding some customizations to it and then reselling it. And then it was when I started freelance writing was when I really finally hit something that I was like, ooh, like this feels like the thing. And I was able to stick to it for a long time. Um, so I guess just a piece of advice to pull out of that is find something that you enjoy enough that you can do for a long time because it can take a while to actually make money doing something. Like it can take years. And if you're not willing to keep doing that thing for years, if you don't enjoy it and it just doesn't feel good to you, you're not going to stick to it. So the writing business, the freelance writing business was my first six-figure business.
Okay.
I went from freelance writing as a service, and the very first client of mine, I worked, I think, 4 or 5 hours to write an article for them, and they paid me $5. And
Oh,
yeah,
that
and
hurt.
I know, but my reaction was the complete opposite of that. I was like, "Oh my God, I got paid for this? That's so cool! I loved doing this, and I made some money." And my brain was just like, wow, if someone will pay me $5, I bet someone will pay me $50. You know,
There we go.
it was just kind of like it made my first dollar that really felt like ooh, I like did something and got paid for it, and there was zero cost to that. Like it was actually pure profit, even it was terrible profit at the time, but still. Um, and so that just like triggered something in me. I was like, okay, let me play this game and see how much can I charge? Like, how can I find clients that'll pay me a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more? And I started, my rates were like a penny per word. So
Hmm.
for 1,000 words, I made like $10 or whatever. And then I upped it to like 3 cents a word, and then 5 cents a word, and then 10 cents a word, and 15. And eventually, the most I ever got paid was like a buck 50 a word for an article. Um, and yeah, the way that I did that was, again, you're going to notice this theme of me like having fun with it, turning it into a game, trying to like play. Was turning that game of like, let me see how I can increase this number. Um, at a certain point, I found that you can only charge so much before you start offering more. Because with articles, you can only make so much money as a return on an article. But that's when I learned search engine optimization. So I learned how to write articles that weren't just articles, but they were like assets to a company that would show up on Google and continue to pay them over time. So there was a very clear return of like, I pay this much and I get money back, even though it takes a while, but still. So yeah, I guess that's how I made my first six-figure business was just turning it into a game, doing something I love that I thought was fun and interesting, and yeah, following that interest.
How did it feel like maybe during the process or like or once you felt like you had some results to like really like receive and enjoy? Like what was the feeling there?
Mm. Can you ask me that in a different way?
How did you feel? How did you feel achieving that goal or that accomplishment?
Okay, yeah. So it felt, I guess it depends. It felt different based on the accomplishment. So like the first milestone was making $5 for 5 hours of work, which weirdly felt really great. And then there were times where I like went up in price. So I charged a little bit more. A client said yes, and it felt amazing. But then there were times where it was like I was really in a dry spell and I couldn't get any clients, and I had to lower my price in order to get
Mm.
clients. And that did not feel good at all. That sucked.
Hmm.
So it just kind of depends on where you're at in that journey on that roller coaster.
Right. And then getting it to a six-figure online business, how did that feel?
Oh, specifically the six-figure part. Yeah. It felt great, and it also wasn't this like, holy crap, I did this amazing thing. It was more so of like, yeah, that makes sense. I saw the trajectory. Like I
Okay.
kind of felt it before I got there almost, which I
Right.
think is a common thing among manifestation. Like feel how it would feel to have achieved that, but as if it was happening now. So that way
Yeah.
you get feelings now, and then when it actually happens, it doesn't feel that much different, in my experience.
It was almost just like, yeah, this is normal. Like this was
Yeah.
expected. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And I love to talk about the feelings of accomplishment or results or the journey within entrepreneurship because I think it's so important. I think that sometimes people feel like they're going to feel different or they're like I should be more happy or I should celebrate or I should feel more fulfilled. It's always I should when really my take is like just receive how you feel. Like in your case, like you were just like, yeah, it makes sense. I've been, I did step 1, step 2, step 3 and this is where I got. And so I feel like sometimes when we're listening to a lot of content around entrepreneurship, it's some of the details around the emotions. I don't know if people are talking about it enough. So I'd love to cover that. So thank you for sharing your journey
Yeah.
around that. And what are some key principles for sustaining a business in general, and then maybe also sustaining a business while traveling?
I find that the most important habit I have as an entrepreneur is having a morning and evening ritual, especially an evening ritual. Just something that you can come back to. It doesn't have to be long. It can be 5, 10, 15 minutes. But something that you do at the end of every day. I reflect on the day and I look to the next day. So I say, what were my wins today? What went well? What went wrong? And what is my plan for tomorrow? What am I going to do? And that one thing is more than anything the highest leverage thing that I've done. I keep saying thing, thing. One of the highest leverage things that I've done in my life is that end of day reflection because it keeps the momentum going, even on your shitty days, even on your off weeks, your off months. As long as you can tie it back in that, it keeps that forward progress going. And you can do that whether you're at home, whether you're traveling, no matter where you're at, as long as you just have, one of these or a laptop or a notebook.
I think anchors are really important when we have a lot of sovereignty, whether it's in entrepreneurship or not. I think it just helps us keep ourselves accountable and it's like a check-in, right? Looking at your wins and reflecting on lessons learned or just any of those things. It's a really good tool and an anchor. I love that. What are some common mistakes entrepreneurs make?
So I work as a coach with entrepreneurs all over the spectrum, a lot of them newer. And one of the things that I see most often is just this lack of lack of belief in their own capabilities. And a lot of times it's not actually like a complete lack of belief in themselves. Like they know they've got a certain level of something, but it's just notched down a little too far. Like from my perspective, I can see that they're capable of really, really good things up here. But from their perspective, they're like down a lot lower and they believe that they're here. And so my job is to help them bridge that gap. And one of the ways that I do that is again through encouraging these daily reflections and helping them to see the progress over time. And that's why we do a minimum of 3 wins every single day. Because the brain can just be so overly negative and pessimistic of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. Why should people want to buy things from me? And by looking at those wins every day, being like, no, I reached out to 5 people today. Like that's really cool. Old me would never have done that. Or wow, I got on a sales call and I got my first no. That's
Yeah,
actually cool. Like the more you reflect on like the progress, even the tiniest little bits of
yeah.
progress that you make, the more that you gain that self-confidence.
Yes, absolutely. I second that. As a past realtor, we would we would go for no, right? Like that's the goal. Like how many no's can you get? It's like I got 20 no's today. Woo!
Heck
And then the
yeah.
yeses are like in there, right? They just fall into place, but you're not like sitting on the call. I loved cold calling. I did it for so long. And you're not just sitting on the call waiting for a yes, you're waiting for the no. And then if the yes happens, it's like, oh, obviously that's a bigger win than the no, but you had to go through the 10 no's to get to the yes. So I love that you're bringing that into this conversation.
I want to just like throw this little tidbit in there too of I do a lot of sales calls, and one of the things that I like to preface them with and a mindset that I have going in is I know that the people who are meant to say yes are going to say yes to me, and I just get as unattached as possible to who it is that's saying yes. Like it might not be you, it might not be the next 10 people that I call, but the person who's meant to say yes will say yes to me.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And how do you bridge, if at all, how do you bridge in consciousness or spirituality or personal development into either the community work that you do or into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I'd say I do my absolute best to just lead from the heart, from a place of connection and curiosity and just wanting to uh, really help people. Like I said earlier, one of my biggest callings in life, the shaman told me, and I knew long before that, was creating community. And to me, community is about, connecting people and helping people and lifting people up. And it's funny, one of the things that my business partner, Rex Lawyer, says is everyone around me gets to win. And I love that. I'm all about that. Like, I want to see people around me succeed, and I'm willing to
Yeah.
put in the work to do what I can to help them get there.
Yeah, I love the win-win theory.
Hmm.
It's like, and I feel like that's part of like where we're headed just as we evolve, as we come into like conscious business and just evolve as people. And it no longer needs to be win lose. It can be a win-win, like your friend, like everyone around him wins. So I love that absolutely. And the community piece, I think it's really important. Would you say that there's some entrepreneurs that might think that they have to be the lone wolf, or they might isolate themselves in order to kind of get stuff done, or like maybe they just have like this idea that that's the path, and then eventually they figure out that it's better to be in community while being an entrepreneur? Do you run across that at all?
All the time. All the time. I run a community called Focus Founders, and we do in-person co-working here in Austin. And all the time I find people in that group saying to me, like, I've just been home alone grinding for a long time, and it feels so good to just get out and be around other people also doing the work and trying to improve themselves. And so, and then it's common with all of our clients too. They come to us and they're like, yeah, I'm sick of doing it alone. I want to do it with other people. So yeah, very common.
Yeah, and it's so important to have yeah, it's so important to have community, and it probably just changes everything from the energy that the person has, like in their mindset, going back to what you said earlier, like their belief about themselves and like what they accomplish. That's a great question, actually. Do you see that the community aspect helps with that specific challenge that we talked about earlier?
Which specific challenge?
The belief, like people, like entrepreneurs not believing in what they can achieve, right?
Hmm.
Kind of like playing small, or like I remember your hands being up here. You were like, they could do this, they can go as far as they want, but they only go halfway. Do you
Yeah,
feel like being in community helps with our beliefs about ourselves and entrepreneurship?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Part of the cohort that we have, the premium coaching program, um, we actually get people to opt in when they join to comment on each other's posts and like be involved with each other as a community. And it's just so freaking cool to like log on every day and see, person A commenting on person B's status about like, wow, that's so cool that you did that. I remember the other day you were like so afraid. It's awesome to see that you overcame that. And just like little things like that are just massive when it comes to like knowing that you're not doing it alone and to get reflections that you are actually making improvements. and to just hold somebody else up to a higher standard too. Like by helping others, you're also helping yourself. So that community aspect's huge for me.
Very powerful. And do you have a message for anyone who might be struggling to connect with like their purpose or the thing that they enjoy to even start their entrepreneurship journey?
Mm. Yeah, one of the first things that we do when you join our program is get really crystal clear on what's your vision. Like where are you going? Why are you doing it? And most of the time, we have a process that people go through that is, pretty clear. Have you ever heard of the term ikigai?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we use a lot of like ikigai techniques in this, and I also use a bit of neurolinguistic programming. So we get like really specific about like, okay, what do you want in your life? Not just in your business, but in your life. Like, what do you want in your relationships? Where do you want to live? What do you want your day to look like? Where do you want to work from? What do you want to work on? And you get really, really clear about those things. Um, and if you can't even figure that much out, then you start with what you don't want.
There
Like,
we go. That's a
yeah,
good tip.
yeah. So start with what you don't want. If you know that you hate working in an office 9 to 5, okay, you want something that's not an office 9 to 5.
Right.
We could at least start there. That's like
Yeah.
going back to the who you're not question. Okay, I'm not a person who likes to put myself in a box.
Right.
Cool. That helps me know who I am.
Yeah, I love that. That is a very practical tip. And like, yeah, if anyone listening, if you write down and maybe do numbers, I'm a numbers person, like because it just keeps my mind a little organized. So maybe make a list of 5 things. I don't know, 5 things that you don't want. That might build it out, right? Then you have process of elimination. I don't want to live in California. I don't want to be in an office. Okay, so move out of California. What are the options there, and you can kind of just tailor it to that. So thank you, Bill, for that. That was great. So how do people work with you, or how do they find out more info on focus finders? How do they connect with you? And what do you have to is there anything that you want to promote?
Yeah, totally. So we have a free community. It's on school with a K, SKOOL.com, and it's called Focus Founders. So founders gathering in focus. So that's free to join. You just got to answer a couple questions and you can sign right up and join our online membership. And then we also have an Instagram, just at Focus Founders. It's still relatively new. We're still working on that. We're a young company, scrappy. It's only two of us. So the Instagram isn't super pretty yet, but it's there. It exists, and I'm answering people on it. And then beyond that, yeah, if you're a founder and you want to find more focus, then definitely reach out to me either on Instagram or on school and we can talk about it.
I love it. And so we also have Bill's website link in the description, the Instagram that he just mentioned that has fresh energy. Don't underestimate a fresh Instagram. It's very powerful, everyone. Facebook link and the Focus Founders link, the school link that he mentioned is also in the description. Do you have a quote or any last words of wisdom that you want to leave us with today?
I'd actually love to hear from you on that last question of finding purpose. I'm very curious as to how you would answer that. How would someone find their purpose?
I think self-awareness is our best tool. And there's so many different tools that we can use. Some people use astrology for self-awareness. Some people use meditation. Some people just use the people in their lives, right? Their kids, their wives, their husbands, whoever it is. So find whatever tool really allows you to accelerate your self-awareness, and that's going to be your path. I think that that's going to be your journey to really tapping in and accessing your purpose.
Mm, love that. Thanks for
Yes, thank you. So give us some words of wisdom and then we're going to wrap up.
cool. Yeah. Words of wisdom. I would say the quote that comes to mind right now, I forget who said it. I'm sure I'll remember in 5 minutes, but if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right. So
That's a
believe in
good one.
yourself. Believe in yourself. You got this.
Yeah. It's simple, but it's so deep because it allows us to choose. Like, do I want to believe in myself today or do I want to choose not to believe in myself? And when
Mm,
you know that you have the choice, you just choose, even if you don't feel like you're there, you just choose the other one, right? Choose the one that you want to be in and you will get there. I think that was probably a hidden message throughout this whole conversation with Bill today. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Namaste. Have a great day.
thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you. That was awesome. Hopefully it felt good. I
Yeah,
will send you an email probably in a couple weeks just to give you a heads up on when your podcast will be coming out. When it does, you'll have a Google link. You'll have your video, your clips, any other marketing materials. You could just post what like you could repost what I post, or you could post whatever you want on your own because you'll have a bunch of stuff to do that with. So yeah,
awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm looking
you're
forward to
welcome.
it.
Have a good day.
Yeah.